Hey, happy October, my KW family. I'm cutting right to it because we got two things to go over, and I know I'm going to be long winded when I explain some of this stuff. So pause me, slow me down, get this recording. Let's dive in. Um, one of I've never had a month where I've had so many phone calls from agents, and here's the other truth: sellers are disgruntled. They're finding my number. They're finding other brokers' numbers, and they're calling us to see if their agent's doing everything in their power to get the home sold. And so I'm having a lot of price or patience conversations with sellers and agents. We're watching different sellers who want to vacate their current listing agents and join a different agent because they believe that there's some marketing that could be different. Whatever that case is we've got an inventory situation that's causing these sellers to grow a little disgruntled a little too quick. And so set the expectation. I'm not going to hammer you on that. But what I want to inform you is that these conversations are being had. So I'm recommending that if you have a listing that is sitting, get in front of those conversations. Let them know what you're doing. Elaborate exactly what your marketing plan is. Go over them in detail with your sellers to have them understand that they have a say on what type of marketing you do. Hopefully you're giving your sellers a say in the marketing that they do. But also the other fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter how good our words are polished, how well we've practiced our dialogues. People are going to do what they're going to do. And so I want to inform you guys, and I want to go over this one more, or not one more time. We all need to be reminded far more often. We need to be instructed. I want to go over this multiple times. How do you terminate a deal with your client? What is the proper way of doing so? Well, there are two ways to do it, and I want to be careful with the way I explain the first way. The first way is where you and the seller decide that you are both willing, both agreeable to allowing your terms of the contract to expire uh, sooner than the contract says. Let me say that over. Both you and the seller, both you and your client are agreeing to shorten your listing period. So if I have a disgruntled seller, they want to no longer list with me. They'd like to go on their own way with another agent, and I'm okay with that. I do have the option of signing an amend extend with them for our listing agreement to shorten our listing period down to the point where it's going to expire either today or tomorrow or the next week, somewhere in the relative future. That would get you out of contract with your seller. They'd be welcome to go and seek other options with other agents. Now, that is a mutual agreement. That's mutually agreed upon that you guys are going to be uh, parting ways. And so an amend is okay in that situation. But there is another way to do it too, and it is our formal termination agreement. And that termination agreement was drawn up by our attorney, Damian Cox. And so you're not going to be able to find this in the Colorado Real Estate Commission approved forms. This is in our office files. If you go into DocuSign, click on add form, click on add from DocuSign, right there, KW333 documents, it's in there. So there is a termination agreement between your seller and yourself, or your buyer and yourself. So be careful. There's two for buyer and seller. But that's another way to slow down, read through it, and understand your situation. I'm sorry, slow down and understand if your situation would call for a mutual amendment to expire the listing period a little shorter, or if you really do want to go through the termination agreement, because the termination agreement does have some different bullet points and some highlights there. For the sake of this video, I'm not going into those. But there are two ways to terminate agreements, and one would not actually be called a termination. It would be called an expiration. The other way is to terminate fully with your client, and that is through the termination doc. The other thing that I want to go over, something that maybe the sellers that are getting a little disgruntled need to hear. You see, I was doing some stats between what I like to look at is I like to look at last month's and then the month before that. So I just got done looking at September numbers. I also was looking at July numbers, and I will tell you, for the first time this year, I thought I had a glitch in the system. So I logged out of Iris. I logged back in. I went through my standard operating procedure of how I pull all this data, so that way I make sure it's the same data every single month. And lo and behold, I got the same results. So I thought, okay, something's wrong. Let me log off of Zillow. Let me log off of Iris. Let me get back in there a little bit another day. So I woke up this morning. I got back in there. I started going through my stuff, and I got the same results. And so I'm coming to conclude that I'm not doing anything wrong, and that the market has drastically changed itself, and we're not feeling the effects of it just yet. So I want to give you guys something to shout out or not shout out. I want to give you guys something to help get in front of your sellers about. You see, in July, I can't remember the exact stats, but in July through Weld County, Larimer County, and Boulder County, there were well over 700 to 900 new listings in each one of those counties. In September, I'm telling you, I had to re-log in multiple times to make sure that I was not wrong shooting this video for you guys. In September, the average, I can't remember the exact average, but for all three of those counties, we're looking at 295 new listings. I think the one was 360 new listings. And the other one was the low 300s. So these three counties were upwards of 700 to 800 new listings for the month of August. And now the month of September, they dropped to over half. But we're not feeling that yet because there's still listings sitting. The buyers are just getting wind, and the collective mind is just starting to think about this interest rate reduction. You know, I was talking to somebody and they laughed at the 0.2 point, the 0.25% interest rate reduction. So we've got some collective minds that don't understand that little number still has a big impact on the markets. And so I'm here today to tell you guys to get in front of your sellers. Let them know that last month the inventory dropped by half. That if they hold on, if they really aren't ready to reduce their price and they are playing the patience game, that patience game may very well be coming up to help them in the future months. I don't know what October holds. The other thing that I want to point out, I totally get if you're watching this and I'm sitting here telling you that it's September and all the half of the listings dropped. Yeah, we are probably going into a little bit of a seasonality trend for the fall and winter months, but I don't think that's fully the case when it's a full 50% drop in the amount of inventory. If you guys know anything about supply and demand, as supply drops, demand gets a little tougher and tougher. So I think we're looking at an era that might be okay for some of these sellers that have been sitting around. So obviously, you got to go in and get those price reductions. If your people have margins, work on your scripts, work on your dialogues, get that price reduction, get that thing sold. But if your clients don't, some of these people have bought a couple years ago and now are forced to get out of here and sell and do some things and are upside down and don't have the cash to bring to the table. I think their time is coming. Fingers crossed for you, and have a great October. I almost said September. Have a great October, guys. Happy day.